Hello, class. I noticed a few of you were having trouble finding ideas and kind of understanding what it is I'm looking for your chapter 6 project. So I wanted to review how to find topic ideas and also go over the project examples. That way you have a little more understanding, hopefully, of what's going on and what a good project looks like. So first of all, for topic ideas, I created this list earlier during the Monday class periods, reviewing a few different options people might have if they are looking to create certain if they're having trouble looking for different topics under their specific interests or areas of study. So first of all, this is different from the previous one. You are not interviewing a person, you aren't doing a feature about them or anything like you did with your last project. You're looking at a current event, a current topic, something relevant to your either the industry you're in or the one you want to be in whenever you graduate. So first, you're going to start with your area of study. Now, in this example, I have several different areas, of course, for different topic ideas. The first one, applied sciences, of course, you don't have to follow football or baseball or do any of these specific things. These are examples. But in this case, this person does keep up with football, with baseball, and they mentioned a Saints rebuilding year. So, how could we find a person to discuss the Saints rebuilding year other than a person on the street or another student? We're looking for a professional interview. So we can talk to someone on the football staff at UL or a local sports analyst. Both of those people are professionals. If neither of those are available, you keep looking at different people. Maybe someone else in the applied sciences department would be available and have relevant information to add about this topic. So again, we're looking for relevant professional information. If you want to include other information, that's okay. But you do need to have some kind of professional source. And another example here is child and family studies. So if you are studying this somewhat broad area, they have a few different approaches you can take. If you know a child and family studies specialist, that would be someone. The Peak Art Center also does a lot of work with children and families. That is one of their specializations. You can also go to the psychology department or even see if you can talk to someone in the like a therapist in the area. If you look up child and family therapists, those would be people who would be good options for your interviews. Okay, now as you can see here, we do have a few other different types of information. The best way to start your research is usually either to go to someone who is a specialist and see if they have recommendations, email them, call them, or you can go online and maybe check out different sources. For example, are there certain topics that keep coming up whenever you check 2021 dance? Or are there certain areas of mass communication that are trending right now? A big one, of course, would be if you're talking about social media, Facebook and all of its affiliate groups all went down today. So that would be an example of a current event related to mass communication. All right. Well, now that we've gone over a little bit about how to find topics and different people to interview, let's take a look at writing project examples. Now, what I did is I reformatted some articles from the internet with subheadings and ones that included kind of a lot of information, but they focused on a specific topic. Both of these are close to what you want, but you want to make sure you are meeting the minimal requirements outlined for this project. So don't necessarily do exactly what you see in the examples, but use them as a guideline to understand how to format everything, the type of information I'm looking for, and of course, I'll review that a little more in just a minute. Now, for this first example, it's both informational and instructional. So you're looking at how reading aloud can help you bond with your kids and make them better readers. Excuse me. In this example, the two writers, Diana Opong and Andy Tagle, worked on the podcast as well as this article. So as you can see, the formatting is slightly different, but essentially the same as what you see here. We have our article title. So the article title is centered and it follows capitalization rules. Now, in this specific instance, they decided to use a more conversational tone in the writing. It isn't bad, but most of what all of you are writing should have a little more of a professional tone. So if you can avoid using we and you statements, look for other ways to add the information and add a little more punch to your writing. But it isn't terrible necessarily for web writing to refer to your audience as you're writing. Now, as you can see, this person did paraphrase the information they received from their interview. And they also include information in here explaining their interviewee, Keisha Sairobi's background and why she would be a great person to interview without coming out and saying she's a great person to interview. So they start out by explaining a problem the reader might have. Then they go into a solution offered by this person, and they explain Sairobi's background. She's a Baltimore-based early childhood literacy consultant with a doctoral level degree. So she would be an example of an excellent person to interview about helping you bond with your children and help them with their schoolwork. Now, in this case, I'm assuming based on the way the article is written, they had trouble narrowing down a direct quote from this person and decided it was better to have more paraphrasing. But I do want you to include a direct quote here or somewhere in your article instead of paraphrasing everything. So they lead in to the first section, the emotional benefits of reading aloud, and then they offer information about that topic and then lead into the next one. Okay, so this is why you should read aloud. And then they have how to read aloud and break down the possibilities of different approaches you can use with your family. And then, of course, again, it's another why statement. And a little more why explanation as well as how in this last one. Some of this writing isn't the best, honestly, but this is an example. So we're working toward a tighter type of writing, but again, we are writing for the web for this particular project. So if you want to maintain a little more conversational tone that is understandable, remember to match your writing to your topic. So in this case, the authors are anticipating having parents read this, and so they're keeping it more conversational, a little lighter and less like they're talking to a group of child psychologists or professionals. So after all of this information about the how and the why, they offer a final call to action. Take the step to start. Now, one quick side note, as you can see in the example, I did not include all of their pictures. You can include pictures in it if it benefits your article. You are not required to use them. I want to make sure that you're using appropriate subheadings and addressing the key points in your article. Now, I added a line here to separate the article from the Twitter post. Again, the Twitter post is a bonus point situation. I recommend doing it for everyone. If you don't want to, though, you aren't being penalized, you just aren't getting the extra points. So to insert a line, you go insert horizontal line. Now, Twitter has a lot of suggestions and also recommendations about the limits and different ways to address your audience on their platform. You want to make sure you are within the 280 character limit. It usually includes your mainly the stuff that you've written. So go ahead to your tools, and if you go tools word count, it says how many pages you have for your project. It also includes the words. So I highlighted 17 words of the 1037 in my entire project, and I have 100 characters highlighted as well. The limit is 280 for Twitter. So we're good. We should be fine. If you are concerned about whether or not your Twitter post is too long, you can always copy all of this and paste it into a tweet, and it will let you know whether or not it's too long on Twitter's platform. Now, as for the writing, what I did is I found the main topic of my article, which is families reading aloud together with their young children. And I focused on two actions. So I asked my audience a question: what book will your family read tonight? And then click here to learn how reading aloud helps young readers. And then I included a hashtag child literacy. So I have my audience engagement here, link, and then my hashtag. You can use 2 of them if you want. More than 2 aren't necessarily recommended. You can, of course, but Twitter itself suggests using only 1 or 2. So keep it brief and help your audience focus on the main points of your post. All right. Now, after the Twitter post, I added a page break. So insert break, page break. You can also use Control Enter or Command Enter if you're working in the Apple operating system. And first line references is center aligned. And I have the 2 authors here. So when you write the author names, you are writing them in the order they appear. So it's last name, comma, first initial, and then another comma, an ampersand, and last name, comma, first initial, period. And then we have the date. Now, if we're a little unsure about what to do exactly, what you can do is, of course, we can visit our friend, the APA reference examples. So online media, webpage on a website, and we can see, yeah, they did last name, comma, first initial, period, year followed by month and day. Let's double check ours now. Yep, year, comma, month, day, all in parentheses, period. And then remember to include this kind of formatting. We italicized the title of the article. This is different if you are looking at a source that is also printed. So the New York Times or a magazine will, with a print edition, will not follow the same format as web page on a website. You need to look and make sure that you're italicizing and spacing and adding periods in places they're supposed to be. So we have the web article title here, and then the website is NPR. So again, this isn't saying npr.org. It's the name of the company running the website. In this case, it is NPR. So after that, period, space, and our URL, it does not have a period after it. This is to help anyone looking at your references, trying to follow it, because a period will be picked up by the URL and might cause problems reaching the website for anyone reviewing your work. And also another quick note, if you look here, the first line is not indented and every line related to it is. The way you do this is we start out with a left alignment and then go up here to your little margin indent stuff. So we can see, there we go, got him. Okay, so originally when you see this and you have the left indent, everything is lined up along your margin. You want to move the left indent to 1/2 inch and then move the first line indent back, and you'll end up with the correct alignment for everything in your references. And also make sure you're double spacing your references as well. Okay, one more example so you can see a little more. Now, this particular article by Joe Hernandez follows a little more of a professional feel, as it should, because he's talking about the release of the Pandora Papers. Now, he does still follow basically the same format, except in his case, so in his introductory / summary article, he writes, including a few more figures, since it is a business article about records and offshore banking and a lot of other things. So whenever you look at it, we can see he interviewed one of the reporters. So he includes a direct quote from one of the people involved in the release of the Pandora Papers, and also has their information. So basically, whenever you're writing this kind of opening paragraph for this type of article, what you're doing is you're offering kind of a brief version of your paper. So he has the really basic information about the massive investigation from more than 600 journalists across the globe, and the name of it, the Pandora Papers, and what it did, shows how the world's wealthy hide their money and assets from authorities. And then how did they do this? It's built on all of these records leaked to the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. And then he includes information from a reporter with that organization. Now, the article continues with a transition into more specific topics related to this main topic of the Pandora Papers. So, same thing for this example. We're including our main title, opening paragraph, and then subheading, followed by more additional explanations that are important for your reader to understand what's going on, what are the important parts, why do we need to follow this, and and what should we do about it? So, yeah, he goes into the specifics of world leaders implicated by the report. And then he even includes some information about a previous release of similar information, the Panama Papers. So, if your topic is something has that kind of relationship with another idea, you may consider using that information in your writing. And then, so in this case, his version of moving it forward or bringing a call to action is that he's focusing. So this was more of an international story that Hernandez brought down into a US, or if you're in South Dakota, local level. And he also includes an explanation about why some people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk were not in the Pandora Papers, and speculation from the experts involved in the Pandora Papers. Now, this would be an example where he broke down all this information in the original article, but this is part of a large group of articles NPR released related to the Pandora Papers. So on the side here, you can see they have a lot of related article links. If you're interested in this topic, then you would continue and click on one of these links to see additional information. And of course, NPR has more stories from NPR related to this topic. Now, of course, for this particular project, you're only writing one web article. You don't have to create the giant web of articles for this specific topic. I also have another example, of course, of the Twitter post, and I just closed this. Let's take a look. Okay. Now, again, building the references. Make sure we have everything double spaced. Yep, ready to go. So we'll type our author's name, publication year, and day. And then really easy way, most of the time you can copy this and adjust it more easily. However, if the company or organization does not follow AP style and they have all of their words capitalized, you will need to go in and fix it. So Pandora Papers remains capitalized because it is a proper noun. It is the name of this report. And then, of course, we will include our URL. All right, now let's move on to a little more information about your project and a few more notes from chapter 6 and for writing on Twitter.